The following is an EWTN special presentation.
To bring our Eucharistic Congress to a close, we will have the witness of Mrs. Acutis, and then we will have a period of adoration and benediction of the Most Blessed Sacrament. When you're receiving the blessing of our Lord Jesus Christ, any articles that you may have purchased today, you can intend for them to be blessed as well. There's still some seats up here on the side. You're most welcome to come forward and take those seats. Thank you. At this time, I draw your attention to the two screens on either side of the front of the shrine, and we have two trailers that we'd like you to view before Mrs. Acutis gives her witness.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Es una bendición estar aquí con toda la familia de la Arquidiócesis de Filadelfia. Soy Gaby Jacoba, directora del Festival Internacional de Cine Católico.
It's a blessing for me to be with you today and all the families of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. My name is Gaby Jacoba. I'm the director of the International Movie Festival, Catholic Movie Festival.
Y es una bendición poderles mostrar el tráiler de la película El latido del cielo.
It is a blessing for me to show you the trailer of a documentary called My Highway to Heaven.
Que próximamente se estrenará en cines. Esta película documental es sobre las investigaciones que realizó Carlo Acutis de los milagros eucarísticos.
And very soon it's going to be out in the movie theaters. And this documentary speaks about the research that Carlo Acutis made on the Eucharistic miracles.
Que se realizó en parte con José María Zavala, director, y también la Oficina de Comunicación del Vaticano.
Which was made also in cooperation with Maria.
José María Zavala.
José María Zavala and
la Oficina
the Office for Communications of the Vatican.
Al final les podemos dar información del estreno, así que disfrútenlo. Gracias.
Later on, if you would like, we could give you more information about the documentary. Thank you very much and enjoy.
efusión corresponde a sangre humana.
Fue un acontecimiento estremecedor. Uno de nuestros sacerdotes descubrió una mancha roja en la hostia depositada en el agua.
Los resultados fueron sorprendentes, diría incluso que intrigantes.
Un corazón, en ciertos aspectos, aún vivo.
No sabíamos cuál sería el final de este viaje.
Tampoco comprendíamos su significado ni a dónde nos conduciría.
Una religiosa encontró en el copón una hostia pequeña de las que se consumen normalmente, teñida de rojo como de sangre.
Carlo muere el 12 de octubre de 2006 y exactamente 10 días después sucede un milagro eucarístico en Tixla, México. En este milagro yo veo mucho, sin duda, la firma de Carlo.
Todos decían, Carlo es un chico especial, increíblemente amable y bueno. ¿Y qué le hace tan especial? El hecho de su pureza interior.
Cuando estábamos juntos, bastaba solo con eso para ser felices. Sonreía todo el tiempo. Bromeaba siempre. Era divertidísimo.
Creo que él, con su comportamiento natural y altruista, era una persona increíble y podía ser un ejemplo para cualquiera.
Confieso que en aquel momento, ignorando que él padecía tan grave y repentina enfermedad, llegué a pensar, ¿se habrá escapado de su casa? Pero ellos me dijeron no. El Señor se lo ha llevado.
The New Manna is a feature film on Eucharistic miracles that will excite Catholics like never before.
The greatest way to reach the masses is, well, we all know, it's film.
There are several elements that will make our movie revolutionary. The first element is live action. Scenes we filmed are the Exodus, the baptism of Jesus, the miracle of the loaves and fish, Jesus walking on water, the bread of life discourse, Jesus in the synagogue, the Last Supper, the scourging, carrying of the cross and crucifixion, the road to Emmaus, Paul's conversion, 1 Corinthians 11:27, and St. Tarcisius. From that, it's clear that we've filmed every Bible passage on the Eucharist, which will bring the scriptures to life in a way no other film has done in 2,000 years. This filming was led by our director, Angelo Labuti.
I've worked on over 35 feature films. I've played almost every role in the filmmaking, from concept, storyboard, writing, animation, 2D and 3D, and special effect.
We'll also have artists from Hollywood who have worked on some of the biggest movies of all time. They will use their talents to bring to life this much overdue film. The second element is special effects. Animators who have worked at Lucasfilms will create computer-generated imaging, CGI, of Jesus walking on water, transubstantiation, and more. Can you imagine being able to share this with first communicants? We'll also show some of the phenomena that we find in these miracles that are hard to explain with words. The third element is theology. Here's a preview of who we've filmed with. Cardinal Lorenzi, Dr. Scott Hahn, Lila Rose, Father Calloway, Tim Staples, Antonia Acutis, Father Ripperger, and Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers. The fourth element is science. We've interviewed 3 medical doctors who were part of the initial investigation, as well as 3 others that have reviewed these miracles in depth. And how will all this be pulled together? Through our cast, who have worked on these movies. Our main character will play the role of a struggling believer coming to know Jesus in the Eucharist. He discovers that Eucharistic miracles have occurred where the consecrated host transformed into flesh and blood. In his research, he will come across interviews with doctors and theologians. He will eventually meet with some of the medical experts who were a part of the Eucharistic miracle investigation and question them himself. The showcase of indisputable evidence provided leaves him vulnerable to a change of heart. What he is startled to learn is that these miracles from around the world all show that bread transformed into heart tissue. As he gains knowledge from scholars, the Bible will come to life through the many Eucharistic scenes we filmed. We will be taking you on an emotional journey as our hero searches for truth and understands the transforming power of Jesus in the Eucharist. This riveting movie will be one that can appeal to anyone. This will only be possible with your support. Every 45-minute episode of The Chosen costs over $1 million. The Eucharist is the greatest gift we could ask for, and if we're able to receive similar support, I can only imagine how many lives would be transformed by Jesus in the Eucharist. So please donate today at EucharisticMiraclesMovie.com.
Hello everybody, my name is Angelo Il Butti, the director for this movie. I know we don't have that much time, so we are still kind of really play our trailer as I'm speaking. You can go to see, we have in Spanish and in English in our website. We all have some family member, some close friend that walk away from the faith, they are no longer there. This is the movie for be able to give and be so entertained for past more 35 years in Hollywood, working for all those kind of movies, and I want to share my faith and my love for Christ with all the best technical and features, special effect, all these will be together, wrapped up in one, for making people come back in love for Christ and fully understand what is Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. Thank you so much, everybody, and we love you.
Thank you, Jacoba. It's a blessing to have the documentary on the Eucharistic miracles that Carlo Acutis worked on. And also thank you, Angelo, for making this amazing movie on the Eucharist with all the special effects that will help us understand the transubstantiation in a very different way. And now, without further ado, I introduce to you Antonia Acutis, the mother of Blessed Carlo Acutis. Antonia.
So, good evening to everybody. Sorry for my English, but we will try our best. And I'm happy to be in Philadelphia, a very beautiful town. I never have been in Philadelphia, so it's an occasion, especially because of the Eucharistic Congress. And I just wanted to tell you something about Carlo devotion. The most important thing for Carlo was the Eucharist. He used to call the Eucharist my highway to heaven. Why? Because we know that the Eucharist is the most supernatural thing we have in the world. We have Jesus among us. And Jesus promised, I will be with you till the end of the world. And he maintained this promise because, as Pope Benedict was always stressing, Jesus is with us with a physical presence, really. He hides behind the Blessed Sacrament, but he is really present. And Carlo was aware about this presence. Really, Jesus is with us each day. And Carlo used to say that our planet, from an astronomical point of view, from a geological point of view, is always the same planet since there was the incarnation, that resurrection of Jesus. But from a supernatural point of view, our planet is not anymore the same planet because we have the Holy Trinity that live among us. So this awareness of having Jesus with us is something that makes so happy Carlo. Carlo was really devout of the Eucharist. Let's imagine that he did his first Holy Communion when he was 7 years old, and he started since then to go to Mass each day, to do Eucharistic adoration each day. Only 7 years old, and in the occasion of his first Holy Communion, he wrote, to be always united with God. This is my goal program, my life program. To be always united with God. We know that this is possible because Jesus, in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 6, says, people who eat my flesh and my blood remain in me. So Jesus promised a special union through the Eucharist. And we know that Carlos was always explaining this because he was catechist for 5 years. He teach catechism, and he was always explaining that Jesus really, the sense, like St. John says, of Jesus is love. And when we eat the Eucharist, we eat the source of love. So Jesus, when we do the Eucharist, help us to transfigurate us. And really, Jesus is love, and really, when we take the Eucharist, we improve this capacity of loving God and loving our neighbor like ourselves, which is the secret of sainthood. So through the Eucharist, Jesus wants to nourish, to transfigurate us. Carlo was always explaining that when we take the Eucharist, the pieces of the bread are inside us almost 15 minutes. In that 15 minutes, it happens something incredible inside us. We have God with his real presence. And this is something incredible. And after the digestion starts, the species, it remains spiritually. But instead of assimilating him, we are assimilated from Jesus. And we are transfigurated from Jesus as his image, because we have all to be similar to Jesus. Jesus tells us, be perfect like I am perfect. And the Eucharist is always acting, because it's ex opere operato, because it's a sacrament, independently from our attitude, our inspiration. But he always works in the Eucharist. He always made something inside us. And we need the help of Jesus, because we are not able without him. It's like the wine and the branch. When we cut the branch from the wine, it doesn't bring fruits anymore. And Jesus stressed, without me, you cannot do anything. We need Jesus. We need Jesus to grow in this path of sainthood, and really wanted to nourish ourselves. And so he invented the Eucharist, the bread and the wine. It's incredible. It's an incredible thing. And he is always with us. And Carlo used to say that at the school of the Eucharist, we learn to be like Jesus, of course, but also to be humble, because humility is the virtues that invented Jesus. The other religions have not these virtues. No other religions, only Catholic, Christian. And why is so important humility? Let me used to say, Carlo, to give space to God. Not me, but God. Not the love of oneself, but the glory of God. Because when we think when we take the Eucharist, Carlo used to explain this in this way. The humility of Jesus was not the fact that he was born in a very poor place. No, this is humble, but for Jesus was not a problem. The humility of Jesus was the fact that he passed through that excruciating tunnel that from his condition, that his infinity, let him pass in the condition of finitude. So the incarnation. That was the humility of God. And we know this very well in the Christological hymns that St. Paul, that is so beautiful. And so through the incarnation, he humiliates, and he came in the womb of Mary. She was so humble. She adored God because of his her humility. And Carlo was saying that at the school of the Eucharist, we learn to become humble. And St. Francis of Assisi was a very big lover of the Eucharist. He participated 2 times per day to the Eucharist. And he wrote very good, very beautiful pages over the Eucharist in the Ammonizioni. And he wrote that each day God from his kingdom comes in the poor hand of our priest. This humiliation, this incarnation that happens each day in every Mass that are celebrated throughout the world. It's incredible. Continuously, Jesus humiliates himself in this continuous coming in the earth. And this is the Eucharist. Through the Eucharist, we will learn to be humble, because without humility, we are not able to make space to God. When we have a big ego, how can we make space to God? How can we become the hand of God in the earth? And of course, let's think about the word Bethlehem, huh? The place where Jesus was born, no? The word Bethlehem, you know, it's in Arabs is Bethlehem, that means house of the chair of the flesh. And in Jewish is Bethlehem as well, is similar, but is house of the bread. So already in the name of the place where Jesus was born, there is the mission of Jesus, to be our bread, to be our nourishment. Primus in intentionem in the creation of the world was the Eucharist for the Holy Trinity. The first things the Holy Trinity in the creation thought was the Eucharist. So they create the world. And ultimus in intentionem, the last in intention, was the Eucharist, because after he became the Eucharist with his crucifixion. From his piercing side, from his chest came out blood and water, and it came the church. That is the church was created, the sacraments. And there is a very beautiful document, I don't know if you heard, that wrote Pope Francis. Is called Desideranda, is an apostolic letter in which he speaks about this Adam that from his rib, no, came out Eve, and from the chest of Jesus came out the church. So he stressed also Pope Francis about this. So important, the sacrifice of Jesus, the biggest act of love he did was to die, and from his mercy, his love, came out the sacrament. And the Blessed Sacrament is really the center. And Carlo, why he was so in love with the Eucharist? Because, of course, he knew that he needed the help of Jesus to become holy. And holiness is a call for everybody of us. But we have to fulfill this call. We have to use our will. And our will is weak. And we need the help of the Eucharist. Because through the Eucharist, we will reinforce our will. And we will be able to fight against the temptation, because God will fight with us. Really, the Eucharist is the medicine of our soul. And the Eucharist also helps us to reinforce this capacity of fighting against all these dangers we have around, because this world is very dangerous. But Carlo trusted in the Eucharist. Carlo really was aware that with Jesus everything is possible, like the God of the armies, no? In front of him, and we can go full of force, because with God we don't have to fear anything. With God we will be winner, always. And so Carlo, really, the sanctity of Carlo was the Eucharist. Of course, when you take the Eucharist each day, it's normal that you want to help the other. You want to spread this love for the Eucharist. And he did this exhibition over Eucharistic miracle that is going all around the world. Countries like China, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Africa, India, United States, Latin America, Brazil, Europe. So many parishes. And we had so many conversions, so many healing, because God is giving us a lot of signs. And this last Eucharistic miracle, these two documentaries we're speaking, that I hope that will be able, I'm sure we'll be able to help to reinforce our faith in the Blessed Sacrament, in the sacrament, because we need to grow in the faith in the sacrament, of the power of the sacraments. And Carlo really, with this exhibition, wanted to help people. He used to say that we see in front of a concert thousands of people, in front of a football match thousands of people, but we don't see these queues in front of the Blessed Sacrament. He used to say that if we think, we are much luckier than people who lived more than 2,000 years ago with Jesus. Because these people, yes, they could see Jesus, they could speak with Jesus sometimes. It was not very easy because Jesus was surrounded by crowds. And for us, used to say, Carlo, it's easier because it's sufficient for us to go in the nearest church where there is a tabernacle and we have Jerusalem among us. How many Jerusalem do we have in the world? How many tabernacles? We have gold tabernacle, silver tabernacle, wood tabernacle. And then we are all ready to leave to visit the Holy Land. But we have the Holy Land here. We don't need to waste money. We have Jesus with us always. So we have to grow in this awareness. And the first one that started to spread the Eucharistic miracle exhibition of Carlo were Americans, United States people. And thousands of people we visit, thousands of parishes. And there were especially the perpetual adorators that are all over United States. So I really hope that with this Congress, lot of the adorator will come out. Adorator, perpetual adorator, because the perpetual adoration is the transfiguration of the world. Why Carlo was doing each day Eucharistic adoration? Because he used to say, first of all, in front of the sun I became tan, but in front of the host I became holy. And he used to say, let's imagine a room that is in the shadows, and in a certain moment enter a ray of light. And you can see the dust with this situation, physical situation, because normally it's difficult to see the dust in the air, no? But in that situation, you can see the dust. And just to say that we can, Jesus, through the Eucharistic adoration, help us to see the dust we have inside us. Because we all have the wounds of the original sin. And we need to medicate these wounds. We need to heal. And Jesus helped us to heal, to change, to transfigurate us. And Carlo was always saying that when we do Eucharistic adoration, that he used to do each day, not once at a time, each day, when we do Eucharistic adoration, it's like when Moses was in the Mount Sinai in front of the burning bush, and over there was the presence of God. He couldn't see, but God was there. It's the same, like now. We are in front of God. The same, exactly the same. And what happened to Moses? When he was praying in front of the burning bush, he obtained graces for the people of Israel. They won the battle against the Amalekite population. When he stopped to pray, they lost the battle, they lose the battle, no? But praying in front of the tabernacle is a grace, because you pray with God. It doesn't exist a prayer that is most powerful of the Eucharistic adoration and the Holy Mass. Carlo was saying always that who more than Jesus, who is God, when the priest celebrates the Mass, offer himself through the Holy Spirit, which is God, to the Father, which is God. Which prayer can be more powerful of the prayer of the Mass? It doesn't exist. In fact, if you see many saints like Padre Pio, for example, I was blessed from Padre Pio when I was born. Padre Pio, to free the soul from the purgatory, used to celebrate Masses, because Masses is the most powerful prayer we can do. And also Eucharistic adoration. What happened to Moses when he was coming down from the Mount Sinai, no? The vision of the burning bush? He was enlightened. And this happens also to us. We are enlightened from the Eucharist. We became luminous because God, through his light, will transfigurate us. It's possible this transfiguration also now for us. It's Jesus who will transfigurate us. Really, he will transfigurate us. And really the Eucharist is the most important and supernatural thing we have in the earth. And Carlo really loved the Eucharist. And for this reason, this exhibition they were speaking, Eucharistic miracle, is strange because Jesus is doing a lot of Eucharistic miracles now. Lot that are recognized from the church, recognized from the scientific community, that now are allied of us, because the scientific community has new mean to investigate that before they weren't. And the last Eucharistic miracle was in 2013 in Legnica, Poland. A house became flesh that is a part of a myocard, is the myocard, that muscle that surrounds the heart, through which we have the heart can beat. And then with the same group, blood group, AB, like the Shroud of Torino, sign of sufferance, because we know that when we celebrate the Mass, there is the reactualization of that same sacrifice that happened more than 2,000 years ago. And what happened in the sacrifice? Jesus suffered from the wound. And Jesus showed us this. And some scientists were telling me that analyzing the relic of this Eucharistic miracle of Buenos Aires, they also saw that there were signs of like the resurrection, the light, like if they had a sort of nuclear explosion. It's incredible how many signs through this Eucharistic miracle Jesus is giving us. It's incredible. And why I'm telling you this? Because these are signs. These are the signs that God is thinking on us, that God is calling us to a deeper Eucharistic life. Through a deeper Eucharistic life, we will have the transfiguration of the world. And we will have the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Because what is the Immaculate Heart triumph? Is the triumph of the Eucharist. Only that. That is the most important. And we, with Carlo, we have a sign of hope. A young boy of nowadays was able to do this path of sainthood. And we know all the danger he passed through, no? Overpass. pornography, alcohol, drugs, gaming, all these video games that create an addiction. We became like slaves with this video game. Always, no? And Carlo, just to tell you how Carlo was aware, when he was 8 years old, somebody gave him a PlayStation as a present. PlayStation, fantastic. So Carlo had written some articles in the newspaper in which they were spoken about the children in the United States that finishing to enter inside the hospital because of addiction of video gaming, and they had epilepsy, all these illness. So he was scared, so he said, it can be dangerous. So he decided alone, maximum 1 hour per week I will play with this game, maximum. And he maintained this. This is the virtue of temperance. Maximum 1 hour. And you know very well that it can be very dangerous. Today we don't have only video game. We have Facebook, social. Not me, but God. This is the society of not God, but me. No, it's true, because Facebook, all the photo, I'm beautiful, I'm thin. This is the society of the, in a certain way, is a star system, the star system. Influencer, the actress of Hollywood, sorry for our director, but he knows, he knows. All these very important, anyway, football player, baseball player, I don't know, because maybe baseball is better here. In Italy, it's a catastrophe, baseball. Anyway, so really, I think that the Eucharist is the answer of the Holy Trinity for this time. And the fact that all these Eucharistic miracles are coming, the one recognized from the Church, from the scientific community, one in Sokoka, 2008 in Poland, one in Tixla, Mexico, 2006, one in Buenos Aires, where Pope Francis were there and asked for investigating this Eucharistic miracle. So all this sign that the God is given. Why? Because the time is mature that we will become more Eucharistic. Because only with the Eucharist we will win. And let's think, I know that here in the United States there are some churches dedicated to Satan, no? Let's think that Satanists have a lot of faith because they know that Jesus is really present in the Blessed Sacrament. Sometimes they have more faith than a lot of Catholics. And when they do exorcism, the priest, what is the things that the devil hates more? The Eucharist, because he's God. And there is nothing more than he hates. And you see, Carlo was always saying that the devil will allow us to do a lot of procession, pilgrimage as well. He doesn't care. But when you start to become an Eucharistic soul, you will see how the devil hates this. Because that will be the start of your transfiguration. You will see the changement. I promise you, you can come in Italy and you can kill me. No, you stay with us. You can start. Why don't you start? Let's start with little path. 1 minute, 5 minutes, Eucharistic adoration. And then we will see that at the beginning, the situation will be very uncomfortable. You will start to think to other things. You will feel the need to go up, to go away. I get bored. I cannot stay here in front, in silence of the Blessed Sacrament. And that means that Jesus is working on you. That means that Jesus is healing you. Because when you do a wound, you put alcohol. At the beginning, it hurts. But then you heal. And so Eucharistic adoration is like this. At the beginning, but little by little, you will start to enter in this Trinity love. And you will see the changement of your life. You will see that things that you love, you won't love anymore. And things that before you didn't love, you will start to love. You will see the things with the eyes of God. You will start to see His wisdom. You will understand the sense of our life. Carlo used to say, find God and you will find the sense of your life. Because sometimes we don't know why we are here, but we know that the infinite is our mother, our homeland, not the finitude of this life. Carlo used to say that we are pilgrimage of the absolute. And really, through the Eucharist, we will be winner. Carlo used to say, all are born originals, but many die as photocopies. And to die as a photocopy is very easy, especially today. All is the same, the dresses, the shops, the things. Everybody has the same thing. Everybody wants to imitate each other. They discover also that is a mirror neuron is something physical, because we tend to imitate. So it's very difficult to go against this massive, brainwash we face each day. It's very difficult. And God will help us. God will help us to be unique, original, because each one of us is special. I just wanted to say one last thing, because we are speaking now about Carlo Acutis, who is blessed, many saints we have. But sainthood is for everybody. Everybody of us is unique, is called to sainthood. What does Jesus say to us? Be the salt of the earth. Be the light of the world. Each one of us is special. Digital prints. We have all different digital prints. That means we are all special, unique. Potentially, we are all saints. But we have to realize this. And sainthood is to realize this. And the church declares somebody holy, not because he had stigmata, vision, apparition, healing gift, bilocation, levitation. I'm speaking about things that I know. This is not holiness. Sometimes it's the devil who does the same. Sometimes can be also somebody who is not so holy to receive some gift. Doesn't mean holiness, because these one are gratia gratis data. Grace that God gives us gratuitously, but we don't have any merit of this. It's God that gives us these graces. Our sainthood will be to live heroically the virtues. How many virtues there are? More than 200 for the Dominican school. But the most important are faith, hope, charity, which are the theologal virtue that directly infused from God, prudence, justice, fortitude, temperance. And what does it mean to live in the heroic virtue? Means to live, to do not anymore venial sin, because this is the problem. Why there are so big number of Catholic, anonymous Catholic, mediocre? Because they don't want to win this venial sin. They don't do the battle. Carlo used to say, what is the goal to win in thousands of battles if you are not able to win myself with my corrupt passion? I have to fight. If I go to confess always the same sin, means that I don't do any battle. With the flag white, I am defeated straight away without starting to fight. I have to fight. Each minute that passes, used to say Carlo, is a minute less we have to became holy. We have this time now. We have to live, like Carlo used to say, as each day was the last day of our life. We don't have to waste time, because time is a precious gift, precious. And what we will do now is what we will find for the eternity. Let's think, forever, forever, forever. And what I've done here, how I will have put God at the first place in my life, and I will love my neighbor like myself. The amount of love I will have, grown in my life, I will have is my gift for heaven. I will be closer. The more I will love, the more I will be closer to God for the eternity. And so we don't have to waste. We have to maximize, not for the profit, but for heaven, our time. So I hope that now the time, like Cenerentola, not Cinderella, what is the name? Cinderella. is finished. So I have to go. A prince will wait for me outside. My shoes are a little bit big. So anyway, so thank you very much. And one last thing, I don't know if we will see each other again, but my wish is that we will see everybody in heaven. This is my wish.
Mrs. Acutis, thank you so very much. And also, friends, I do invite you to pray for the canonization of Blessed Carlo Acutis. What a wonderful witness to have during this Eucharistic Congress, inviting all of us once again to a deeper love for the Mass, for Holy Communion, and for adoration. In just a few moments, we will begin our closing Eucharistic event. And if you kindly just remain in silence and adore the Lord until we begin.